Hello, beautiful sacred souls. Today's video is called Healing is Growth, Why You Don't Need to Stay Broken. This is a script I have written. I want to talk about a belief that I've been hearing in spiritual circles. And it is this idea that healing goes against the soul's plan because hardship is what makes you grow. And at first, this sounds mystical, maybe even profound. But if we pause and look at it through the lens of psychology, neuroscience, and trauma-informed care, it doesn't actually hold up as accurate. Hardship alone doesn't create meaningful growth. In fact, ongoing suffering without integration, without healing, often traps the nervous system in patterns of stress, fear, and reactivity, which makes it hard for you to have the insight that spirituality is implying we come here to have. The science of growth and healing. From a psychological perspective, growth is not just about enduring hardship. Growth actually happens when the brain and nervous system have the capacity to learn from the experience. Neuroscience shows that chronic stress or trauma can actually damage neural circuits. It can impair memory, emotional regulation, and decision making. The nervous system needs safety and regulation in order to integrate experience, in order for growth to happen. Without safety, hardship alone does not produce wisdom. It actually produces deregulation. Healing actually restores coherence in the brain and the body, and that strengthens prefrontal regulation and allows the amygdala to stop overreacting. And that is what actually creates growth and wisdom. In other words, healing is the mechanism by which growth occurs. Here's a trauma-informed perspective. If we look at this idea about Earth being a school and us coming here for lessons and duality, what we actually are seeing from a trauma-informed lens is that you don't need to stay broken because that is actually harmful. Trauma research shows that unresolved trauma keeps people in patterns of avoidance, hypervigilance, and defensive coping, which leads us to harm others. Whereas healing through therapy, somatic work, and reflective practices allows those patterns to complete their neurobiological arc. That is how the brain consolidates learning from experience. This is where growth comes from. It is after the nervous system has been regulated, not during the unprocessed suffering. So, by telling someone that they must remain broken for spiritual growth is actually like saying, don't heal that broken bone because it teaches you resilience. Clearly, the logic doesn't hold. Healing is actually about learning. Healing is the growth. Here's integration versus spiritual bypassing. Here's why this matters. Teachings like suffering is required for growth, or the idea that healing is not in the soul's plan, it actually serves as a form of spiritual bypassing. It actually justifies ongoing pain. It prevents questioning harmful systems. It prevents us from holding abusers accountable for their actions. And it keeps people in cycles of obedience or martyrdom. Whereas trauma-informed spirituality, in contrast, says your nervous system, your mind, your body, they are sacred. Healing them is not cheating the lesson. Healing them is the lesson. Integration, actually feeling and processing experiences, is what fulfills the purpose of hardship, not avoiding it. That does not mean we need undue hardships such as rape or oppression or child abuse. I'll talk about this in another video. It means that contrast can be helpful for growth. Let's pause for a quick somatic exercise to anchor this truth into your physical body. I invite you to take a slow, deep breath in and let it out through the mouth. I invite you to feel your feet on the ground. I invite you to notice your weight, your connection to the earth. I invite you to place a hand on your chest and on your belly and silently say, I can heal. I can grow. I don't need to stay broken or stay in cycles of abuse in order to learn. Notice any sensations that arise, any areas of warmth, any areas of softness, any areas of relaxation or release. And I invite you to observe them without judgment. Notice any areas of constriction, any resistance to the idea that it is okay for you to choose healing. And again, observe without judgment. Softening and warmth are the nervous system saying, yes, this feels true. Restriction is the nervous system saying, I don't feel safe yet. I invite you to take another slow, deep breath and feel your nervous system responding in real time. I invite you to repeat this anytime your mind doubts legitimacy of healing for growth. The takeaway is simple, but profound. Healing is not the opposite of growth. Healing is the growth. You don't need to stay broken in order to learn lessons. You don't need to suffer endlessly in order to become wiser. The nervous system and the mind need safety, integration, and repair to access the wisdom of our lived experience. I invite you to allow yourself to heal, allow yourself to integrate, allow yourself to grow. That is how lessons are fully realized and how you step into the fullness of your true wholeness. Thank you for listening, and take a moment today to check in with your body, your mind, and your capacity to integrate and heal. And if there's a sense of, yes, I'm ready to take that step, I deserve that, then my book, The Divine Within, Healing Ourselves to Heal the World, which is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Walmart and Powell's Books, online stores, may be a resource that could support your growth. It is trauma-informed, and it bridges spirituality, psychology, and neuroscience. Or go to my website, blossomingheartwellness.com, and consider an online course. And stay tuned to more videos. Maybe subscribe or follow me. Sending you deep love and appreciation for who you are and where you are on your journey of healing. You deserve to be safe inside your body.